Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the damaged alien ship floating outside the viewing window. The metal hull was twisted and burned, with holes punched through its sides like someone had shot at it with massive guns. Black smoke drifted from the wreckage into the cold darkness of space. "Sir, we're picking up a life sign," reported Lisa Carter from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "Just one. It's weak but steady." "Captain Ryan." Foster stood behind Jake's chair, his arms crossed. "Any idea what species we're dealing with?" "Negative, sir," Jake replied, checking his scanner readings. "The ship design doesn't match anything in our databases. But whoever they are, they need help fast." The Meridian had been on a routine patrol near the edge of human space when they detected the distress signal. Now they faced their first real contact with an unknown alien race. Jake felt his heart beating faster as he thought about what this could mean for humanity. "Bring them aboard," Captain Foster ordered. "Medical team to docking bay 2. Morrison, you're with me." Jake followed the captain through the ship's corridors. Other crew members pressed against the walls to let them pass, their faces full of curiosity and worry. News traveled fast on a ship this size, and everyone knew they were about to meet their first alien. The docking bay doors sealed shut behind them as the damaged alien craft was pulled inside by the Meridian's tractor beam. Jake could see the ship more clearly now. It was beautiful in a strange way, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to shimmer even through the damage. Dr. Elena Rodriguez arrived with her medical team, carrying equipment they hoped would work on alien biology. "Any idea what we're dealing with?" she asked Captain Foster. "None," he replied. "But they're hurt, so we help them. That's what humans do." The alien ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Steam poured out, and Jake held his breath as a figure appeared in the doorway. His eyes went wide when he saw the alien for the first time. She looked like she was made of living crystal. Her body was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to be made of clear, colored glass. Light moved through her in waves, creating patterns of purple and gray that shifted across her form. Her face was angular but somehow beautiful, with large eyes that glowed with inner light. But Jake could see that. She was badly hurt. Cracks ran down one side of her body like broken glass, and some pieces seemed to be missing entirely. She moved slowly, favoring her damaged side, and kept it turned away from them as much as possible. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward carefully, her hands empty and visible. "Hello," she said in a gentle voice. "We want to help you." The alien looked at them with those glowing eyes, and Jake saw intelligence there, along with pain and something that might have been fear. She spoke, but the sounds were like wind chimes mixed with the ring of crystal glasses. "Get the universal translator," Captain Foster ordered. Jake ran to fetch the device from the communications station. When he returned, Dr. Rodriguez was slowly scanning the alien with her medical equipment. The alien stood very still, but her colors had shifted to deeper shades of purple and gray. Jake had no idea what that meant, but it didn't look good. The translator hummed to life, and suddenly they could understand her words. "Stay back," she said. Her voice like music played on glass instruments. "I am damaged, broken. You should not look at me." "We're doctors," Dr. Rodriguez said softly. "We want to help heal your injuries." "There is no healing this," the alien replied, moving to keep her damaged side away from them. "I am flawed now, imperfect. Your kind values beauty and wholeness. I have neither." Jake stepped forward without thinking. "That's not true," he said. "We help people who are hurt. It doesn't matter what they look like." The alien's large eyes focused on him, and her colors shifted slightly toward a lighter purple. "You do not understand," she said. "Among my people, to be damaged is to be worthless. I assume it is the same for all intelligent species." Captain Foster exchanged a look with Dr. Rodriguez. "What's your name?" he asked the alien. "I am called Zaravel," she replied. "I was the engineer of this vessel before I became this." "Well, Zaravel," the captain said, "you're safe now. We'll help you fix your ship and heal your injuries if we can." "Why?" Zaravel asked, genuine confusion in her musical voice. "I am not of your species. I cannot benefit you. And I am As you can see, broken. Jake found himself speaking again, because that's what humans do. We help people who need it. Zaravel's colors shifted again, this time toward something that might have been surprise. She studied Jake's face as if trying to understand if he was telling the truth. Dr. Rodriguez finished her scans. "I can treat some of these injuries," she announced. "The damage goes deep, but I think we can help." "You would waste your time and resources on me?" Zaravel asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's not a waste," Jake said firmly. "Every life has value." For a long moment, Zaravel just stared at him. Her colors continued to shift, cycling through shades Jake didn't recognize. Finally, she spoke. "I do not understand your species," she said, "but I am in no position to refuse help." Captain Foster nodded to Dr. Rodriguez. "Get her to the medical bay. Do what you can." As they prepared to move Zaravel, she looked back at Jake. "You said every life has value," she said. "Do you truly believe that?" "Yes," Jake replied without hesitation. "I do." Something in her expression changed then, though Jake couldn't read the alien emotions that played across her crystalline features. Her colors brightened just a little, shifting toward warmer shades. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "your species is different than I thought." As they helped her toward the medical bay, Jake found himself walking beside her. He noticed that when she thought no one was looking, she would glance at him with those glowing eyes as if trying to solve some puzzle she had never encountered before. Jake didn't know it yet, but that look would change both of their lives forever. 2 weeks had passed since Zaravel came aboard the Meridian, and Jake had been assigned as her cultural liaison. It was his job to help her understand human customs and feel comfortable while the engineering team worked to repair her damaged ship. It wasn't going well. Zaravel spent most of her time in the guest quarters they had prepared for her, only coming out when absolutely necessary. When she did appear in the corridors, she kept her damaged side turned away from everyone and moved quickly to avoid contact with the crew. Jake knocked on her door for the 3rd time that morning. "Zaravel, I brought you some food. The doctor says you need to eat more to help your healing." The door slid open just enough for her to take the tray from his hands. Through the gap, Jake could see her colors had faded to dull grays and deep purples. "Thank you," she said in that musical voice, but she didn't meet his eyes. "Would you like to eat together?" Jake asked hopefully. "I could tell you more about human culture, or you could teach me about yours." "That would not be appropriate," Zaravel replied. "I should not inflict my presence on others any more than necessary." Jake frowned. "You're not inflicting anything. I enjoy talking with you." "You are kind," she said, "but kindness should not be wasted on the unworthy." The door started to close, but Jake put his hand against it gently. "What makes you think you're unworthy?" Zaravel's colors shifted to darker shades. "Look at me," she said, stepping back so he could see her fully. The crystalline formations on her damaged side were jagged and incomplete, creating an asymmetrical appearance that she clearly found shameful. "I am broken, flawed. Among my people, physical perfection is a sign of inner worth. I have lost both." Jake studied her carefully. Even with the damage, she was incredible to look at. The way light moved through her crystalline body created patterns, more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. Her scars told a story of survival, of strength in the face of disaster. "Can I tell you something?" Jake asked. "On Earth, we have a Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, instead of throwing it away, artists repair it with gold. The cracks become part of the beauty, not something to hide." Zaravel's large eyes focused on him with interest, though her colors remained muted. "You make broken things beautiful?" "We don't make them beautiful," Jake corrected. "They already are. The gold just helps people see it." "That makes no sense," Zaravel said, but Jake noticed her colors had shifted slightly toward lighter shades. Over the following days, Jake continued to visit Zaravel. He brought her books about human art and music, showing her pictures of asymmetrical buildings that were considered masterpieces. and recordings of music that found beauty in discord and resolution. He told her about snowflakes, how no two were exactly alike, and how humans found their uniqueness wonderful rather than flawed. He shared stories of human heroes who bore scars from their battles and were honored for their sacrifice rather than shunned for their appearance. Slowly, Zaravel began to respond. She started asking questions about human culture, genuinely curious, about a species that seemed to value things her people would consider weaknesses. "Your species confuses me," she admitted one day as they walked through the ship's observation deck. She kept to the shadows, but she was at least willing to leave her quarters now. "You celebrate difference when logic says uniformity is more efficient." "Efficiency isn't everything," Jake replied, looking out at the stars. "Diversity makes us stronger. When everyone thinks the same way, you miss solutions that only someone different could see." Zaravel's colors brightened to a warm amber. "Is that why you saved me? Because I am different?" "I saved you because you needed help," Jake said simply. "The fact that you're different just makes knowing you more interesting." For the first time since she had come aboard, Zaravel's colors shifted to something that looked almost like gold. "Interesting," she repeated thoughtfully. But not everyone on the ship shared Jake's enthusiasm. He overheard conversations in the mess hall where crew members wondered why they were risking their mission to help one alien. Some found Zaravel's crystalline appearance unsettling, while others worried about the complications of harboring an alien refugee. "She's not one of us," Jake heard Petty Officer Collins say to a group of other enlisted personnel. "How do we know we can trust her?" "Because she's a person," Jake said, stepping into the conversation uninvited. "She's hurt, and alone and far from home. That's enough." "You're getting too attached, Morrison," Collins warned. "She's not human, don't forget that." "I'm not forgetting anything," Jake replied firmly. "I'm remembering that being human means helping others even when it's difficult." The confrontation left Jake frustrated, but he didn't tell Zaravel about it. She was finally starting to open up, and he didn't want to give her more reasons to withdraw. Their breakthrough came when Jake brought Zaravel to the ship's arboretum. The small garden contained plants from dozens of human worlds, creating a chaotic mix of colors, shapes, and sizes that somehow worked together to create something beautiful. "This is impossible," Zaravel said, her colors shifting through a maze, yellows and greens. "These plants should not be able to coexist. They require different soil, different light, different nutrients." "But they do coexist," Jake pointed out. "We found ways to give each one what it needed while letting them share the same space. Now the garden is more beautiful than any single species could create alone." Zaravel moved closer to examine a flowering vine that had wrapped itself around the trunk of a tree from another world. Her damaged side caught the light, and Jake saw how the irregular crystal formations created rainbow patterns that were breathtaking in their complexity. "You see beauty in chaos," she said wonderingly. "I see beauty in diversity," Jake corrected, "and I see someone who survived something terrible and is still here to share her light with the universe." Zaravel turned to look at him directly for the first time, not trying to hide her damaged side. Her colors were brighter than he had ever seen them, cycling through shades that seemed to contain hope. "Jake Morrison," she said, and hearing his name in her musical voice sent warmth through his chest. "I think I am beginning to understand your species." "And I'd like to understand yours," Jake replied. "If you're willing to teach me." For the first time since he had known her, Zaravel's color shifted to what he would later learn was the Villani equivalent of a smile. Jake found himself looking forward to his daily visits with Zaravel more than anything else in his routine. She had become comfortable enough to leave her quarters regularly, though she still preferred quiet spaces where she wouldn't encounter too many crew members at once. They spent hours in the observation lounge where Zaravel would tell him about her homeworld, while her colors shifted with her emotions. When she talked about her people's great crystal cities, her body would glow with proud golds and silvers. But when she mentioned her exile, the colors would dim to sad blues and grays. "My ship was supposed to be exploring new trade routes," she explained one evening as they watched the stars drift by. "But when the accident happened and I was changed, the crew decided I was no longer fit to represent our people." Jake felt anger building in his chest. They abandoned you because you were hurt? They sabotaged my ship, Zaravel said quietly, her colors darkening to deep purples. They said a damaged Vylani would bring shame to any world we visited. Better for me to disappear than to embarrass our species. That's horrible, Jake said, and he meant it. The idea of abandoning someone because of their appearance made him sick. Zaravel looked at him with those large, glowing eyes. You keep saying that, but I do not understand why. Among your people, surely the strong and beautiful are valued more than the weak and flawed. Some humans think that way, Jake admitted. But they're wrong. We're stronger when we take care of each other, all of us. Even the broken ones? Zaravel asked softly. Especially the broken ones, Jake replied, because they know what it's like to need help, so they're usually the first to help others. Zaravel's colors shifted to warm amber, and Jake realized he was starting to recognize her emotional states through the play of light across her crystalline form. More than that, he was starting to care deeply about what those colors meant. Their relationship deepened when pirates attacked the Meridian 3 weeks after Zaravel's arrival. The ship shuddered under weapons fire as Jake ran through the corridors toward his duty station. All hands to battle stations, Captain Foster's voice echoed through the ship. This is not a drill. Jake made it to the bridge just as another explosion rocked the ship. Sparks flew from damaged consoles and he could smell smoke in the air. Shields at 60% and falling, Lisa Carter reported. They're using some kind of energy weapon we haven't seen before. Return fire, Captain Foster ordered, but Jake could see the strain in his face. The pirates had better weapons and stronger shields. That's when Zaravel appeared on the bridge, moving faster than Jake had ever seen her move. Her colors were bright with determination as she approached the captain. I can help, she announced. My people understand energy resonance better than most species. I can modify your weapons to penetrate their shields. Captain Foster looked uncertain. Can you do it fast enough? Yes, Zaravel said, but I need access to your main computer. Systems. Do it, the captain decided. Jake watched in amazement as Zaravel interfaced directly with the ship's computer, her crystalline hands somehow connecting with the electronic systems. Her damaged side caught the light from the displays, and Jake saw how her scars created complex patterns that seemed to pulse with energy. There, she said after only 2 minutes of work. Try your weapons now. The Meridian's guns fired again, and this time the pirate shields flickered and failed. Captain Foster didn't waste the opportunity, and within minutes the pirate ship was retreating into hyperspace. Outstanding work, the captain told Zaravel, and Jake could see the respect in his eyes. You saved the ship. But instead of looking proud, Zaravel's colors dimmed to embarrassed grays. I only did what anyone would do, she said. No. Jake said firmly, you did what a hero would do. Later, as the crew celebrated their victory, Jake found Zaravel alone in the arboretum. She was sitting beneath a flowering vine, her colors muted and sad. What's wrong? Jake asked, settling beside her. You saved everyone today. You should be happy. I should not have interfered, Zaravel said. It was not my place to put myself forward. A damaged individual should remain in the background. Jake felt his frustration growing. Who told you that? Everyone, Zaravel replied. My people, my former crew, everyone I have ever known except... She paused, her colors shifting. Except you. Then everyone else was wrong, Jake said. You're brilliant, brave, and beautiful. The fact that you've been hurt doesn't change any of that. Zaravel's colors flashed bright with surprise, then dimmed again. You do not understand, she said. I am not like your broken pottery that can be made beautiful with gold. I am truly flawed inside and out. That's not true, Jake said, moving closer to her. I've gotten to know you these past weeks, and you're one of the most amazing people I've ever met. People, Zaravel repeated. I am not even the same species as you. So what? Jake asked. You think, you feel, you care about others. That makes you a person to me. Zaravel looked at him for a long moment, her colors cycling through emotions. Jake was still learning to read. Jake Morrison, she said finally. You make me believe things that I know cannot be true. Like what? Like the idea that I might be worthy of friendship with someone like you? She whispered. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Friendship. Was that really all he felt for her? Looking at her now, seeing the way her inner light played across her unique features, seeing the strength and gentleness in her glowing eyes, he realized his feelings had grown into something much deeper. Zaravel, he said carefully, what if I told you that I don't just want to be your friend? Her colors went completely still, like she was holding her breath. What do you mean? Jake took a deep breath. I mean that I care about you as more than a friend. I think about you all the time. When you're happy, I'm happy. When you're sad, it breaks my heart. No, Zaravel interrupted, her colors flashing to panicked reds and oranges. You cannot feel that way. It is impossible. Why is it impossible? Jake asked. Because I am not worthy of such feelings, Zaravel said, standing up quickly, and because even if I were, I am too different. My body, my species, everything about me is wrong for you. That's not, Jake started to say, but Zaravel was already backing away from him. I should not have let this friendship continue, she said, her voice full of pain. I should have known it would lead to impossible situations. Zaravel, wait. But she was already gone, fleeing toward her quarters while her colors flashed with distress. Jake sat alone in the garden, wondering how expressing his feelings had gone so wrong. Jake didn't see Zaravel for 3 days after their conversation in the Arboretum. She had retreated to her quarters and refused to answer her door, even when he brought food. The only sign she was still there was the untouched meal trays left, outside her room each morning. Dr. Rodriguez found him staring at Zaravel's closed door on the 4th day, holding another tray of food that would probably go uneaten. She's avoiding me, Jake said without looking up. I ruined everything. What exactly happened? Dr. Rodriguez asked, her voice gentle. Jake told her about his confession and Zaravel's reaction. The doctor listened without judgment, nodding. Occasionally. You know, Dr. Rodriguez said when he finished, I've been studying Vylani biology since she arrived. Their emotional bonds are different from ours. Different how? Jake asked. Stronger, more permanent. When a Vylani forms a deep emotional connection, it's not something that can be easily broken. They mate for life, and the bond affects them on a biological level. Jake felt his heart sink. So she can't feel the same way because I'm human? Actually, the opposite, Dr. Rodriguez said. I think she might feel exactly the same way you do, and that terrifies her. I don't understand. Dr. Rodriguez gestured for him to walk with her. Think about it from her perspective. She's been taught her entire life that she's flawed, unworthy of love. Then she meets you, someone who sees past her appearance to who she really is. If she lets herself care about you the way her biology is telling her to, and then you reject her later, it would destroy her. But I would never reject her, Jake protested. You say that now, Dr. Rodriguez pointed out. But what about when the initial excitement wears off? What about when you have to deal with the challenges of being in love with someone from a different species? What about children, or the fact that she might live longer than you, or the disapproval you'll face from both your peoples? Jake stopped walking. He hadn't thought about any of those things. He had been focused on how he felt right, now not on what a real relationship would mean. Are you saying I should give up? He asked. I'm saying you should be honest with yourself about what you want, Dr. Rodriguez replied. If you're just attracted to her because she's exotic or different, then yes, you should walk away now before you hurt her more. But if you really love her, if you're willing to face all those challenges together, then you need to prove it to her. Jake spent the next 2 days thinking about everything Dr. Rodriguez had said. He imagined a future with Zaravel, trying to picture all the difficulties they would face. Different lifespans, different cultures, the possibility that they might never be fully accepted by either species. But when he imagined a future without her, it felt empty and colorless. He realized that the challenges didn't scare him because they would face them together. What scared him was the thought of losing her. On the 6th day, Jake learned that Zaravel's ship repairs were nearly complete. Chief Engineer Pete Adams told him she would probably be ready to leave within the week. She's been working on it herself, Pete explained. Barely sleeping, just focused on getting out of here as fast as possible. Jake felt panic rising in his chest. He couldn't let her leave thinking that he didn't truly care about her. He had to find a way to show her that his feelings were real and permanent. That evening, he went to her quarters one more time. Instead of knocking, he sat down outside her door and started talking. "I know you're listening," he said. "I know. You don't want to see me, but I need to tell you something." He heard movement inside the room, but the door stayed closed. "You think I don't understand what I'm asking for?" Jake continued. "You think I'm being impulsive or foolish. Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't fully understand all the challenges we would face." He paused, gathering his courage. "But I've been thinking about those challenges, and I'm not afraid of them. I'm afraid of not having you in my life. I'm afraid of going back to a universe where I never get to see your colors change when you're happy, or hear your voice when you're excited about something new." Still no response from inside the room, but Jake pressed on. "You saved our ship," he said. "You could have stayed, hidden in your quarters, but when people needed help, you didn't hesitate. That's who you are, Zaravel. You're brave and brilliant and kind, and the fact that you've been hurt doesn't change any of that." He heard what might have been a soft sound from inside, but the door remained closed. "I've learned about Velani bonding," Jake said. "I know what it would mean for you, how deep those connections go. I'm not asking for that lightly. I'm asking because I want to spend the rest of my life proving to you that you're worthy of love." Jake stood up, knowing he had said everything he could. "I'll be in the observation lounge tomorrow evening at 8, he said. "If you want to talk, I'll be there. If you don't come, I'll understand. But I want you to know that loving you isn't a burden or a mistake. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me." He walked away without looking back, his heart pounding with hope and fear. The next evening, Jake arrived at the observation lounge early. He chose a table near the large windows where they had spent so many hours talking. 8 o'clock came, and went with no sign of Zaravel. 8:15, 8:30. At 8:45, Jake was ready to give up when he heard the soft sound of the doors opening. He turned and saw Zaravel standing in the doorway, her colors muted and uncertain. "I came to say goodbye," she said, not moving from the entrance. "Okay," Jake replied, though his heart was breaking. "I'm glad you did. My ship will be ready to leave tomorrow," she continued. "I wanted to thank you for your kindness these past weeks." "It wasn't kindness," Jake said quietly. "It was love." Zaravel's colors flashed bright for a moment before dimming again. "Do not say that word." "Why not?" "It's true. Because it makes me hope for things that cannot be," she said, her voice barely audible. Jake stood up slowly, careful not to make any sudden movements. "What if they can be?" "Look at me, Jake Morrison," Zaravel said, stepping into the light so he could see her fully. "Look at my broken body, my damaged form. I am not whole. I cannot give you the life you deserve." Jake looked at her, really looked at her. He saw the cracks in her crystalline skin, the irregular formations where pieces were missing. But he also saw the way light moved through her like liquid gold, the strength in her stance, the intelligence in her glowing eyes. "You're perfect," he said simply. "I am not." "You're perfect for me," Jake interrupted. "Every crack, every scar, every supposedly broken piece. They're all part of who you are, and I love who you are." Zaravel's colors began to cycle rapidly through the spectrum, and Jake could see the war between hope and fear playing out across her crystalline features. "I am afraid," she whispered. "So am I," Jake admitted. "But I'm more afraid of losing you than I am of facing whatever comes next." For a long moment, they stood there looking at each other across the room. Then, slowly, Zaravel began to walk toward him, her colors brightening with each step. Zaravel stopped just out of reach, her colors still cycling between hope and fear. Jake could see her internal struggle in every shift of light across her crystalline form. "I have thought about what you said," she began, her musical voice trembling. "And I have thought about all the reasons why this is impossible. Jake's heart clenched, but he remained silent, letting her speak. "We are different species," she continued, beginning to pace in front of the observation windows. "Your lifespan is shorter than mine by several decades. My people would consider me an exile for bonding with an alien. Your people may never fully accept me." With each reason she listed, her colors grew darker, more agitated. Jake wanted to interrupt, to argue against each point, but he forced himself to listen. "Physical intimacy between our species would be complicated," she said, her colors flashing with embarrassment. "We might never be able to have children together. I do not even know if what I feel for you is love, or simply gratitude for your kindness." She stopped pacing and looked directly at him, her large eyes reflecting the starlight from the windows. "Tell me, Jake Morrison, knowing all of this, do you still believe we could have a future together?" Jake took a step closer to her, careful not to move too quickly. "Can I ask you something first?" She nodded. "When you think about leaving tomorrow, how do you feel?" Zaravel's colors immediately shifted to deep blues and grays. "Like I am losing the most precious thing I have ever found," she whispered. "And when you think about staying, about trying to build something together?" This time her colors brightened to warm golds and amber. "Terrified," she admitted. "But also hopeful in a way I have never felt before." Jake smiled. "Then yes, knowing all the challenges we'll face, I still believe we can have a future together. Because love isn't about finding someone who makes your life easy. It's about finding someone who makes your life worth living. But the differences," Zaravel started to protest, "can be overcome," Jake finished. "Your longer lifespan just means I'll have to make every moment count. The disapproval from our peoples will fade when they see how happy we make each other. And as for physical intimacy," he moved closer, slowly reaching out his hand toward her. She didn't pull away. "I've been reading about Vellani physiology," he said. "Dr. Rodriguez helped me understand how your nervous system works. Touch might be different for us, but it doesn't have to be impossible." Very gently, he placed his palm against the undamaged side of her crystalline arm. Zaravel's colors immediately exploded into brilliant patterns Jake had never seen before, cycling through every hue imaginable. "I can feel that," she said in wonder. "The warmth of your skin, the texture, even your pulse. It is incredible." "And children," Jake continued, encouraged by her response. "Maybe we can't have biological children together, but there are other ways to build a family. We could adopt, or maybe science will find solutions we can't imagine yet." Zaravel's colors were still bright with amazement as she looked down at where his hand touched her arm. "You have researched all of this?" "I've researched everything I could think of," Jake admitted. "Because I want this to work. I want us to work." "But what if I am wrong about my feelings?" Zaravel asked, her colors flickering with uncertainty. "What if what I feel is not love, but something else?" Jake smiled. "Then we'll figure it out together. But Zaravel, can I tell you what I see when I look at you?" She nodded, her colors settling into attentive greens and blues. "I see someone who risked her life to save a ship full of strangers," Jake said. "I see someone who cares more about others than herself. I see brilliant patterns of light that change with your emotions, making you the most expressive person I've ever met. I see strength in the way you survived being abandoned, and grace in the way you've learned to trust again." With each word, Zaravel's colors grew brighter, shifting toward the warm golds that Jake had learned meant happiness. "And when I look at your scars," Jake continued, gently touching one of the cracked areas on her arm, "I don't see flaws. I see proof that you survived something terrible and came through it still able to love, still able to hope." "Jake," Zaravel whispered, and her voice carried notes he had never heard before, like crystal bells ringing in perfect harmony. "I love you," he said simply. "Not despite your differences, but because of everything you are. Will you give us a chance?" For a long moment, Zaravel was completely still, her colors frozen in brilliant patterns across her crystalline form. Then slowly, she began to glow from within, her entire body emanating light in shades that Jake had never imagined possible. "In my culture," she said softly, "when we bond with someone, We show them our true colors, colors that we reserve only for our mate, patterns that no one else will ever see. The light emanating from her body intensified, and Jake gasped as he saw her transform. She was radiant, beautiful beyond anything he had ever witnessed. Her scars, creating intricate patterns that enhanced rather than detracted from her luminous appearance. "These are my bonding colors," she said, her voice filled with music. "I show them to you because yes, Jake Morrison, yes, I will give us a chance. Yes, I love you too." Jake felt tears of joy running down his face as he looked at her in all her radiant glory. "You're magnificent," he breathed. "We are magnificent," she corrected, moving closer to him. Together, the observation lounge doors opened and Captain Foster entered with several crew members behind him. They stopped short when they saw Zara Vell in her bonding display, their faces filled with awe. "Sorry to interrupt," Captain Foster said, though he didn't look sorry at all. "We heard there might be a celebration to plan." Jake looked around and realized that word of their conversation had somehow spread through the ship. The crew members behind the captain were smiling, and he could see acceptance in their faces where once there had been uncertainty. "How did you—" Jake started to ask. "Ship's gossip travels fast," Lisa Carter said with a grin. "Besides, we've all seen how happy you two make each other. It's about time you figured it out." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward with a bottle of champagne. "I took the liberty of researching traditional Vailani bonding ceremonies," she said. "I thought we might be able to adapt some human traditions to honor both your cultures." Zara Vell's colors shifted to include new patterns Jake had never seen, and he realized she was experiencing emotions that might not have human equivalents. "You would do this for us?" she asked the assembled crew. "You're family now," Captain Foster said simply. "Family takes care of family." As the impromptu celebration began around them, Jake and Zara Vell stood together at the observation windows, looking out at the stars. Her hand was in his, their fingers intertwined despite the differences in their biology. "What happens now?" Zara Vell asked. Her colors settled into content patterns of gold and silver. "Now we figure it out as we go," Jake replied. "Together. The challenges will not disappear simply because we have chosen love," she pointed out. "No," Jake agreed. "But we'll face them together, and that makes all the difference." Zara Vell leaned against him, her crystalline form warm and solid against his side. "I have learned something about your species," she said thoughtfully. "What's that?" "That humanity's greatest strength is not your technology or your courage, though you have both in abundance," she said. "Your greatest strength is your ability to love without conditions, to see worth in those who have been told they are worthless, to choose hope when logic suggests despair." Jake smiled, looking out at the vast universe before them. "And I've learned that love really can transcend any difference, any obstacle, any fear." As the stars wheeled overhead and their friends celebrated around them, Jake and Zara Vell held each other close. Two souls who had found in each other not just love, but proof that the universe was vast enough to contain any possibility, beautiful enough to embrace any form of life, and loving enough to heal any wound. Their story was just beginning, but they would write it together, one day at a time, one challenge at a time, one moment of shared joy at a time. And in years to come, their love would become legend throughout human space, proof that the greatest adventures begin when we choose to see beyond the surface to the light within.